Bondo Billy here. My welding videos are very popular with trolls and fans alike, and especially with people that want to learn. And I've been using this Flux 135 flux core only welder from Yes-Welder for over a year now. They gave it to me free and I made a review, and it's the only welder I've been using that you've seen on my YouTube channel. When I'm welding anything, this is what I'm using. I occasionally tested a different welder or two, but when I'm working on my projects, that's what I'm using. Now, if you watch my videos, you know I also have the Yes-Welder YWM200, the Yes-Welder MIG205, the Yes-Welder DP200. I have, well, 4 counting the CT2050 TIG welder. I have 4 welders nicer than this one, but this is all I really need to weld sheet metal. Now, if I need to weld something thicker, then I can break out one of those other welders. Or if I need to weld something fancier, then I can break out the TIG welder, although I need to practice more on TIG because I've only tried it one time. But for just your simple project cars and your home maintenance, your making tools in your shop, things like that, as long as it's not a tool that has to withstand, thousands of pounds of pressure or anything like that, this welder is more than suitable. Now, this is the Flux 135, and now the new generation is the Flux 135 Pro. It's on sale on Amazon right now, and here's the page, and I want you to use my link to get there so I can make a couple of nickels off it. And you're talking about $110 for a super versatile welder. I can weld just about anything with it, up to, I probably wouldn't try to weld steel that was thicker than an 1/8 inch with it, although it could. It's a 110 volt unit, so you're pushing your duty cycle of your breakers and stuff in your house, your wiring and stuff, so I don't run this on full power. The highest I run it is about 120 every once in a while, like welding the bearings on the billy sander. I put it on 120. And something that's a little thicker, I put on 120. But we welded some 1/8 inch frames, and I put it on 120. So, and I gave it a little cooling off here and there so it wouldn't overheat the circuits in the shop, because a 20 amp breaker, running a 135 amp welder on a 20 amp breaker is kind of pushing the limit. I don't like to push the limit on things. But anyway, this is far superior to the Harbor Freight crap that's offered in the same genre of low-priced welders. This wick gun, whatever I'll call it, it actually disconnects from the machine right here. You can disconnect the gun and store it, in a tighter area without worrying about bending and breaking your hose that goes in a hole in the front of the machine. You don't know where it goes. Well, I'll tell you where it goes. It goes up inside there, and the wiring goes over to the motherboard and all that crap. It's a pain in the butt to change the gun on a welder that doesn't have disconnect like this. So the cheap Harbor Freight welders that cost twice as much as this one don't have disconnect. Well, I don't think they're twice as much anymore. People figured out they weren't worth $200, so now they're $150 or $160 or something like that. But as I said, on the Amazon thing, this one with coupon they're having around now is $110. You can't beat that. It's a fantastic machine for let's just call it less than $150, was $149.95 is the retail price of it. So you can't beat that deal. And inside of this machine, I have inside of it, I have, where's blind man? Can't find it. Where is it? Oh, it's this way. I have the Yes-Welder 03.030 flux core wire, far less smoke than Lincoln, Vulcan, and I can't remember. It's on par with the 4E and I can't remember those brands, but this was, I watched a shootout of welding wire, and Lincoln and Vulcan was the Harbor Freight one, had terrible smoke and terrible spatter. And I know about both of them because I've used both of them myself, and they have terrible smoke and terrible spatter. So I absolutely recommend against using Lincoln or Vulcan flux core wire. It's nasty stuff. Don't use it. You know, this has a little bit of spatter and a little bit of smoke. If you watch any of my videos, you'll see it doesn't have much smoke or spatter. The only time it has considerable smoke is welding some galvanized. So the galvanized is throwing off a lot of smoke. So I had a black narrow flux core cone on here. This doesn't have any gas, so it doesn't need any gas dispersion. So it's tight to the tip here. And what it was an insulator to keep you from touching these metal parts to anything around where you might be welding. That's good, but most of the time I'm not in tight spaces with it, so I just leave it like that and try to keep from touching anything. And so far I've been pretty successful with never touching anything. What else can I say about it? It's a simple machine. Has, you know, a synergic function where you set the heat range and it sets the wire speed for you, and has a differential where you can kick the wire speed up a little or kick it down a little based on what it is you're doing. But as I've shown you many times, I don't care what the thing is set at. You can set it at 150 or 135, I should say, and I can still weld sheet metal with it. You know, it's not as easy. It's much easier to weld the automotive sheet metal about 80 or 90, but you can turn it up full blast and I can manipulate my process in order to make it work. So learning about metal is the thing that you need to do, not learning about welders or welding or anything like that. The first thing you need to learn is about metal. And my Project Car Club is where I'm going to be having real tutorials that explain every facet of what I'm talking about. You know, these trolls that I get on my thing, oh, you got slag inclusion and you got pinholes, porosity. They're, you know, probably 80 or 90% of them never even touched a welder. They see stuff on other channels where somebody's talking about welding or whatever. And so they want to get their 2 cents in, be the big man on campus that knows all about something that they don't have a clue what it is. But if you've watched my channel, you've seen that I've done destructive tests on the stuff that I weld to show that it's not booger welds and it's not no penetration and stuff like that. It's 100% penetration and 100% fusion. I've proved it over and over and over again. And, you know, we're welding body panels on our auto body project show car, you know, Project Car Club. We're welding automotive sheet metal and we're going to be covering our welds with fiberglass filler. So it doesn't matter if there's a pinhole here or there and like that, because we're also going to rust proof the backside of whatever we weld to ensure that our repair is going to last for decades, not for years, for decades. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your skirt. I've been doing it I've been welding since 1981. So I know all about welding. I know how to weld strong. I know how to keep the metal from getting too hot. I know all about it. And I know all about how to teach it. And I can make it easy for you. And these guys that want to go by the book that was written in 1950 by somebody's grandpa. Yeah, well, if you want to learn how to give yourself a headache and not do as good a job as what I'm going to teach you, go ahead and learn from whoever you want to learn from. That's up to you. But I'm offering the easiest, simplest, the most efficient methods of welding for what we're doing, which is automotive sheet metal. It's as good or better than any other method. And dirty. There's a buzzword, dirty. It's dirty. No, it's not dirty. There's no dirt involved in it. Just because there's some flux dust left over after the weld, that's not dirt. And if that flux dust is on top of this bead right here, and I start the new bead right next to it, the flux is inside of this tiny little wire, and there ain't much in there. And when you start that puddle right on top of it, right next to that other one, the flux is doing the same thing it did on the first one. It is coming from the center and pushing out the impurities. So if you got this weld already there, and it's got some of that flux dust on it, and you come here and you create this new expanding weld that's pushing out impurities, it's melting this edge that you're up against, and it's pushing that dust out of the puddle too. It's pushing impurities out. I don't know how to make it any simpler. It's not a weld with a cloud of gas over it, and the impurities are staying inside the weld, the rust and the crap staying inside there, because this cloud over the puddle is not making those impurities come out of the weld. So I'm welding my metal shiny on top and rusty as crap on the bottom. And this gun here, this wire, is taking that rust that you might get into the weld and pushing it out. The flux is coming from inside out. That's why you can weld rusty metal with a flux core welder, and you can't with a MIG welder. You can, but it's a big, nasty, it looks like some kind of cancerous mess when you try to weld rusty metal with a MIG welder. The weld erupts like Laffy Taffy or something with holes and just nasty. Looks like lava rock. Don't try to fool me. I've been doing it too long. So, don't listen to these guys that tell you MIG welding is better for welding rusty metal. There's no possible way it's better because it's not good for it. It erupts. It has it's weak. It's just totally weak. So don't do it. I'll teach you the right way. All you gotta do is come join my car club, Object Car Club. Gonna have tutorials. That's the thing. I have never put a tutorial on YouTube or anywhere so far. A tutorial takes a novice, somebody that knows nothing, and teaches them a process. Like tutorials for anything. If every single question that could be asked is covered, then it's a tutorial. A lesson is short of some things sometimes. So I've put lessons up on YouTube, but I've never put a tutorial where we're covering every tiny detail. And I've said it before, when you're trying to teach somebody something, you cannot assume that they know even the tiniest basic thing. That's the assumption that ruins the entire learning process, to assume that your student knows anything at all. You need to assume that if they know something, it's probably wrong, and you need to find that out and teach that out of them as you go. You don't want to leave that kernel of misinformation in their brain while you're trying to teach them something. So the tutorial I give for welding sheet metal, I'll start with the sheet metal first. I'll start with automotive sheet metal, and along the way, I'll cover the welding of super thin sheet metal like you've seen me weld in 26 gauge, because that requires a completely different approach than welding the thicker metal. And when you jump from sheet metal to thicker metal, after I teach you to weld sheet metal, you're not going to need the lesson on welding thicker metal. It's the easiest pie to weld thick metal. You start welding. Not true with a MIG welder. Not true at all. A MIG welder, it's easy to put a bead down that is no good, but looks good. It's super easy to do little tiny circles with not enough power. You don't have enough amps to melt the metal properly. But when you're done, it's beautiful. Oh, look at this pretty weld I just did. Bam, crack, boom. No good. Can't withstand, or can't hold up to the forces it needs to hold up to because it did not get penetration. Not so with flux core. You gotta be careful that you don't get too much penetration and your weld falls out on the floor. So that's the trick, that once you learn it, not to have your weld fall out, well then you're already guaranteed 100% penetration because you absolutely liquefied. You liquefied the metal on both sides of your workpiece. The two pieces coming together, when that arc starts at 30,000 degrees, you liquefy that metal instantly. When that arc starts at 10,000 degrees with a MIG welder, you don't liquefy both sides of that deal. You start to liquefy it, and you got to hold the trigger longer so it can get hotter and actually liquefy. That's why my method of flux core welding is less warpage. It's going to be less warpage than MIG welder, no matter what. No matter how you MIG weld, no matter what you do, you're going to get less warpage by doing what I'm going to teach you. And as always, I'm going to prove it. I prove it over and over and over and over. But I never get tired of proving it because I get a kick out of the trolls and their genius in my comment section. So, anyway, Project Car Club is where I'm going to be. I'm going to post shorts and tool reviews, stuff like that on YouTube. But YouTube is somehow, I don't know what they're doing. But, I got millions of views last year, and I'm getting thousands of views this year. So I don't think it's my audience. I think it's YouTube. I think YouTube is denying me audience with a lot of people. So I'll just leave it at that, but I'm not dropping out of YouTube. I'm just going to be more engaged with my community, and that's what Project Car Club is and will be, is a great community of people helping people. And, you know, if I don't know something, I don't know everything. If I don't know something, you ask me a question I don't know, I'm going to find somebody that knows. And if it's a process or something, I'm going to test it and say, okay, you know, Joe Blow over here said do it like this. I did it like that, and it worked great. So that's my new way of doing things. That's been my lifelong career of learning, was if somebody had a way of doing something and showed me, and I saw with my own eyes it's better than the way I was previously doing it, that was my new way. And that's been my way, you know, all these 48 years. And I first used flux core in 2022. I don't MIG weld anything. I got gas in a bottle, but I'm not going to take a machine that is not as good for the job and use it for no reason. There's no reason to use a MIG welder on an auto body job. There's absolutely no advantage. Dirty. Don't tell me dirty. There's no dirt in a flux core weld. That flux core weld is strong. And the best thing about that flux core weld is there wasn't gas coming onto it and cooling it while you were welding and making it harder than that flux core weld is. That flux core weld is more malleable, better for hammer and dolly, flatten it out and things like that. More able to compress the molecules in there because it's not been over-hardened by a cooling gas on top of it. Now, if you're a scientist, if you know more about the properties of steel and the properties of welding and all that than I do, by all means, chime on into this conversation and tell these people, you know, how easy it is for you to take your MIG welder or your TIG welder and weld up that rusty metal that they got on their 1960 car. Yeah, tell them how easy it's going to be to get that TIG welder and grind those tungstens and get them just right. Oh, it's going to be so easy for them to learn, isn't it? It's going to be so easy for them to learn that their flux core, I mean, not their flux core, their MIG weld that looks good isn't any good. It's going to be so easy to teach them that. Teach them how to know that weld they put on there is not good or good. Because it looks good. Well, I don't understand why it's not good. It looks good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not a teacher. If you can't tell somebody that one process that's proven better is better, then you're no teacher. You know, what is a woman? What is a weld? You know, if you can't tell, then, you know, quit quacking. You shouldn't even be talking. If you think that a flux core weld is not good enough for sheet metal, you shouldn't be talking to anybody. You shouldn't be advising anybody because you don't know anything. You didn't take a flux core welder and do what I showed you to do and then take it out there with a 2-pound hammer and beat the dog crap out of it. You didn't do that. So why are you talking? You're talking because you like to be a troll on the internet. And, you know, to each his own. And I love my trolls. So you guys keep on coming over and talking that crap. But you guys that want to learn how to do show cars, well, even just daily driver cars, if you want to learn how to take it to whatever limit you want to take it, the sky's the limit. I know how to do show cars that win the show. I'll put my show car up against anything on the internet, any Riddler, any SEMA, any crap like that. You can't do straighter body work than I can. You can't get a finer finish than I can. You know, you might be able to do murals or something like that because, you know, I don't claim I can do stuff that I can't do. I never claim that I can do stuff that I can't do. And I can't paint a bikini lady on your trunk or anything like that. But stripes, flames, things like that, yeah, I can do that. Now, I don't claim that I can do the newer, realistic looking flames because I can't. I can do the old style 60s flames and 70s and stuff like that. More 50s and 60s. But as my eyes deteriorate, I'm getting worse and worse at laying stripes and stuff like that. But I'm going to get those tutorials on there so that it's easy for you. Everything I've done in my entire 48-year career, I have spent extra time to reduce the amount of knowledge necessary to do the job. I have streamlined every single aspect of paint and body to be able to teach it to people with no experience. I preferred to hire people with no experience over the past 45 years. That's how long I've had employees working for me. And I prefer them not to have bad habits. I prefer them not to have already, you know, been a poor MIG welder. I would rather have somebody that's never touched a welder than somebody that has learned how to do poor MIG welding because inevitably they think they, you know, have learned something and it makes it hard to teach that out of their head. But at any rate, the lessons of welding, painting, fitting your front ends and your hoods and your doors, making them fit right. Everything. Go through my YouTube catalog videos and see the things that I do. I watch another YouTube channel. I do the things I do because I came up with so many of the things I do on my own accord. I didn't say Grandpa's method is good enough. I'm going to learn it and stick with that. No, I learned Grandpa's method and then I expanded upon it to make it simpler for my students coming in that had to work on the cars that I was taking in. I needed people to work on cars and I needed them to be good at working on those cars. Not semi-good, real good. And I had teenagers that could fix hail damage and make it invisible and do it quick, fast, and in a hurry because that's what I taught them. I didn't teach them no roundabout way, take a whole torch and go around with a torch and stuff like that. This is from the 80s. The metal wasn't thick enough to do that. It wasn't 1955 Chevy, 80 miles cars and stuff. You take a torch and go around circling on hail and stuff, you'd have a warped up mess. And you did. So I don't teach things that don't work. I only teach things that work good. I don't want to teach things that work half good. You stick with me and your work will be good. You will learn how to do it just right. And you will be satisfied and you will be happy years, decades down the road that your workmanship lasted all that time. So anyway, I'm giving away a Flex 135 Pro on November 1st and on October 1st, I'm giving away a Yes-Welder DP200, the real fancy welder with the big screen and all kinds of programmable settings and software downloads. It's $700 welder. So I've told people how to win it. I don't know how many people have entered or whatever, but I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entries, and I'm going to make one more commercial. I'll do that tonight because the first is 3-4 days away. So I'm going to make one more commercial tonight and make it as clear and concise. It's going to be a tutorial on how to do it right because I gave away the welding face shield. The goggles built in with all the bells and whistles on it, but I had to go and find the winner's entry. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that again. You're going to enter right or you ain't going to win. So watch the tutorial, and there's been several people that have entered right, and they have hundreds of entries, and all they have to do is email a screenshot of what they think their number is closest to the 7-digit number that the random number generator picks. They screenshot the email that they've already sent me to my other email address and send that to my new email address, and send it to my winning email address so that I don't have people that are 7 digits is millions. So if I got people that are millions away from the number, I don't want them sending their numbers to my winning thing. Like if you think your number is going to be real close, like within 100,000 or 200,000 like that, then send it in. Because somebody's going to have a number closer than 100,000. So I'm going to put that into my tutorial about how to enter and play the contest. $700 welder, and I don't want to have to do any work. I want you to do all the work. You enter the contest, you submit your potential winning entry, but I don't want to do any work other than just look at the final entries for people who think they're close. I'm not going and digging back through, any comment section or anything like that to find your entry. You're going to have to show that you made that entry, before. You're not going to get on the day of the contest. I'm not going to accept an entry where you're showing me a number that you put in, and you say you did it a month ago. No, if it doesn't have that recorded somewhere in the actual emails that you sent, then you're disqualified. So, DP200, 200 amp MIG welder, dual pulse, real fancy. That's October 1st. There's still plenty of time to enter. I'll have that video for you tonight. It's Friday night, baby, in the big town. There's going to be a contest, and you're going to potentially win a $700 welder. It's mighty fancy. It's not the one that I was demonstrating. It's the brand new one coming from the manufacturer that is not the prototype. Mine was the prototype. So you're going to get the production model that has the downloads to the mothership and all that. So it's a fancy one, and it welded real good. I was fairly impressed with it. That's one I welded 26 gauge barn tin with 035 flex core wire, and then did my hammering, beating, destructing, tearing and stuff, and finally got to break, I finally got the metal to tear, the welding break. So anyway, you want it, so you should enter the contest, believe me. And then on November 1st, I'm giving away a Flex 135 Pro. On December 1st, I'm giving away a Vevor GD90E spot welding net puller, which is shall I say, awesome. I love that thing. I've been using it a lot, and I've had great luck with it. I haven't used all the bells and whistles yet. It comes with all kinds of stuff that I haven't used, but I just didn't have an opportunity to use any of the other stuff, but it's there. So that's the December 1st one. And in the in-between times, so that's every first of the month, but on the weeks in between, I'm going to be giving away t-shirts, welding gloves, headlamps. I don't have mine on right now. Miscellaneous things like that, like smaller swag that is the perks for our members in the car club. And the more members get in the car club, the more giveaways we're going to have, the bigger the prizes are going to be. So I encourage you to come help build a fantastic community. It's already growing strong. It's approaching 3,000 members in just a little over a month since we announced the opening of it. So that's really good. And my Facebook page is it's over 55,000 now in a little over a month, and it's still growing strong. So people are seeing the light, and they know who knows how to teach them what they need to know, and they know who's a good guy that's going to do all he can to help them. And so I once again encourage you to come join Project Car Club, and that's where you can have me come into your shop on the Zoom call, and you can show me what it is that's giving you a problem, and there's a 99% chance that I can help you with that problem on that Zoom call in real time. You don't have to text me or you don't have to comment on one of my videos and wait for me to see it, read it, and come back and reply to you. No, you can have me directly right there, right now, and I will help you. You show me what's wrong, and if I can't see it, I'll instruct you on how to help you to change your camera angle or whatever so I can see it, and I will be able to help you. I can see video on my phone better than I can see real life, so I will be able to help you with whatever the problem is. And it's some kind of problem like electrical or mechanical. I've got Twan, Chad. I've got people that know other stuff. I've got members in the car club already that are experts in Mopar and Chevy and Ford. So we're building one heck of a club, and it's going to have so much information for whatever kind of car you have. And if you've got the odd man out car that none of us know anything about, well, you're going to be the one putting in the information for Project Car Club to be an expert on your car. And that's my vision, is to have a compendium of all auto body and show car and painting, custom painting knowledge all in one place, all in one community. So it's a private club, won't be any trolls. The second we see a troll, history erase button, gone, hidden from the page. All future profiles from that person, locked from coming into our, club space. Of course, I didn't do that on YouTube because the trolls were helping me grow the channel. They were my mindless minions, but I don't want them in our private club. I only want good guys, friends of the club to be in there and talking bad about anybody's project, anything like that. So people that are saying something derogatory but aren't actually a troll will get a reprimand from the administration and don't talk about your fellow car club members' project. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, I've been quacking for quite long enough now. How to win the DP200 dual pulse MIG welder tutorial will be up at 9 o'clock in the morning is when it'll be up, because I'm going to have to edit it thoroughly so that there cannot be any mistake about what it is and how it is to win it. So the prize is coming from the factory, so you don't have to worry about me putting stamps on it or anything like that. It's coming to you right from Yes Welder, my biggest and primary sponsor. So good luck with that. Join the car club. Now the Yes Welder, the DP200 doesn't have anything to do with the Project Car Club. It's a contest that's already going. So the Yes Welder Flux 135 and the GD90 spot weld nippler, those are only for members of Project Car Club and members of my YouTube channel, like members of private on YouTube. So only private members will be eligible to win any of this big swag that I'll talk about, weldings and things like that. So everybody have a great Friday night, and I will see you next time. And for you YouTube guys, please touch the like thingy, share your chisel, and subscribe, damn it!